When humans evolved from apes and mastered the language of, they said, why don't we start painting our stuff? This started from weird looking shapes to more organized patterns to painting and writing being treated as two separate entities. Now, if you study literature, it's no secret it's a tricky subject. It can be a bit laborious to get on the right track and very easy to deviate from it. There's no reason to worry about it as long as you believe you can do it, and you will surely succeed. Before I begin, I must let you know that I am not a professional literature teacher, but a student, and in this video I'll be explaining what you have to do to improve your grade in English literature. I'm going to first give a brief history of my literature journey, how from an F student I became an A-star student. You may skip to the time on the screen if you want to dive straight into the explanations. Okay, first off, I was not much of a book reader in my early days. I was forced to read books, allowing me to develop a hatred towards them, and I had sworn I will never be picking up a book on my own. For some reason, in 6th grade, I decided to read the Harry Potter series. I had not watched Harry Potter properly, perhaps a couple of clips from the second film of the series.
10 billion points for Gryffindor! You Snape Gryffindor!
But something clicked, and I thought, hey, why don't I read the books? I found out there are 7 books in total, but I stood my ground, went to the hand-me-down bookstore, and bought the series, and oh my, was it a roller coaster ride.
You're all going to hell. Goodbye.
That's when I decided I loved books. Fast forward to me in my last school year. As every book lover, I wanted to study English literature, but lo and behold, my school didn't offer it. Then, in A-levels, I got a chance to study literature. Now imagine this. I am sitting in a class of 20 students, all of them being A-star or A students in literature, all of them reading books all the damn time, and there I was, who has never studied literature and picks up a book after every 2 months, excluding summer and winter breaks. To put it simply, I was screwed. I thankfully had someone in the family who studied literature and taught me what to do, because my teacher was not interested in teaching us, just reading out the texts, which, we can do as well. Now I present to you my journey from an F to an A-star student. Hope you like it. First of all, if you're studying a novel or a play, you need to know the entire storyline. It is most preferable to read the text before you start studying it with the rest of your class. If you don't have enough time to read through the text, you may just watch a movie based on it. Granted, it won't give you a clear picture of what the text is actually like. To overcome this, you may check out the tons of YouTube videos describing the differences between texts and adaptations. But knowing the text is extremely important. In an ideal situation, you must read the text before you start studying it in class, then read it once with the class, then read it once before your exam. Now you must be wondering, why is this crazy person telling me to read these millions of words 20 times? Well, when you are reading the text for the first time, you're looking mostly at the storyline, you're waiting to see what comes next, and don't vividly remember the last line you read. The second time you read it, you're going to find certain hints the writer has embedded in the text. You're going to be looking at the type of language the writer uses. The third time you read it, you'll be looking at the character development and what significance does this have with the plot. Obviously, it's not necessary for everyone to follow this format, but these are the 3 general elements you have to go for when studying literature. Okay, so let's discuss the biggest issue. How on earth am I supposed to analyze stuff? Look, if you're studying something written a long time ago, let's say you're studying Shakespeare, you will first have to understand what in the name of God are these people saying. For that, you will have to get your jacket, gloves, magnifying glass, and a Dr. Watson. You'll find a number of websites which explain what the writer may be trying to convey through their text. In case you're studying Shakespeare, you may want to visit sites such as the Literary Charts Shakespeare Translation sections, where you will find modern-day translations of his works. Now that you have understood the meanings of the words in the text and what the writer is trying to say, you will start digging. You will see how one scene seems to be parallel to another one, how this character keeps scratching their arm for some reason, how one character talks to another. Let's discuss characterization first. You will have to look closely at a character's dialogues and their actions to examine the side of the human mind the writer explores through this character. These attributes may show that the character is egotistical or materialistic or religious or benevolent, whatever the case may be, and you will have to wonder why this character exhibits this personality. Now comes the importance of a backstory and the lack of it. A writer may give a character a backstory to explain their words and actions, and sometimes they may give nothing at all, leaving the reader to presume why the character acts this way, giving them a white canvas to paint the character's past. This is also the best place to wonder why this writer did not provide you the information. If you sympathize with this character, it's possible if the writer had given a backstory which does not suit your taste, you may not feel this way about the character, and you may think of them as a snob for acting this way. Your perception then matters a lot. And this is also a method the writers use to make their story more interactive, as it gives the readers a chance to write alongside the writer. Such methods allow the reader to step into the writer's shoes and come up with their own reasons for the writer making such decisions. Back to characterizations, you have to compare the character at the beginning of the story to the end. Look at how the character has developed. Did they change from good to bad, from bad to good, or did it not change at all? For each of these things, you have to argue why this happened. What roles have different circumstances played in that character's life? If the character has not changed at all, ask yourself, are these character traits rooted? Is it too late for them to change? Is the writer telling you that certain people cannot change after a certain time has passed? Come up with your own theories. Put yourself into the character's shoes. Put yourself in character B's shoes and try to see character A through their eyes. Then question what purpose does that character serve in the plot. If you like a certain character, make a list of why you like them. Then change your way of thinking and look at the character in a cynical manner. Write down why this side of you doesn't like this character. Then try to justify both sides. Why did the character do this? Why did the character not do something else? After analyzing the main character in this fashion, it will be very simple to do this with the rest of them. Coming to plot. In case you did not know, every plot consists of 5 things. First of all, an introduction. An introduction typically shows a setting. It gives you a brief intro of the characters. Then comes the rising action. It's the beginning of the journey. It is the process of creating suspense. You can feel that something big is coming up. Then comes the climax, the peak, the most dramatic part of the story. Then, number 4, is the falling action. The dramatic situation is diffusing. Everything is beginning to normalize. Lastly, the resolution, which is the conclusion. Let me apply this to a story pretty much everyone is familiar with. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. The introduction will be, Harry is an orphan, living a sad life with his uncle, aunt, and cousin until he finds out he is a wizard and goes to Hogwarts. The rising action will be Harry befriending wizards and witches and finding out a teacher from his school is trying to kill him. The climax will be when Ron, Harry, and Hermione begin to show their feats of bravery and intelligence in the obstacles faced to reach the Philosopher's Stone and ensuring it does not fall into the wrong hands. The following action will be Harry waking up with Dumbledore at his bed, telling him how everything is alright, the exams are getting cancelled and Gryffindor has won the House Cup. The resolution will be Harry realizing his home is in the wizard community where he is loved and adored. In a number of stories, you will see certain elements are either missing or they are not constructed properly, and the key to a good story is paying attention to all 5 of these aspects. In some stories, you will see the writer has stretched the introduction to 100 pages and the other 4 elements are seen in the next 50 pages. This type of situation is proof that the story has not been constructed properly. You need to consider this when you are presented with a story, whether it is in the form of a play or prose or film, whatever it may be. If it does not comply to this syntax, it is not considered to be a good piece of art. Coming to language. Language is something a number of people overlook. You may check out my video on how to analyze language. Every writer uses language in a different way and differently in different works, and each serve a significant purpose. Does the type of language show something about the character or the environment? For example, if you are reading a story on realism and the difficult lives of poor, hard-working people, and the writer has used poetic language, is it supposed to create irony? Is it supposed to juxtapose the idea of the wealthy reading about the poor in poetic language while the poor have no taste for these poetic expressions? Then come theme, motives, and recurring ideas. In almost every story you come across, you will see a recurring theme, an object shown consistently, a dialogue used by multiple characters, something which the artist wants you to notice. You will then ask, why do they want me to notice this? Why do they keep showing this to me? Why is it so important in this story? Is it some sort of clue? Then you will come up with your own theories. In my opinion, the most important thing upon which I cannot stress enough is research. A number of teachers discourage students from reading literary criticisms, saying that reading another person's work will not allow you to form original ideas. You will plagiarize different things. I, on the other hand, have benefited from reading literary criticisms a lot, as these criticisms allow you to find different perspectives of a certain text, and you need different perspectives to analyze something. Ultimately, all of this develops your own style of writing literary criticism. You need someone to say, hey, I like this character because of this, to which you will say, well, I disagree with you because this character did this. Hence, I would advise you to read at least 2 essays a week and write down your own thoughts on them, so that if you are studying a certain text for 10 weeks in class, you will be able to get done with 20 essays and read a couple more before an exam. Now, to summarize all my points, first we talked about characters, how important is their development and how important are the backstories, the plot, all 5 elements, introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion. Language, you may check out my videos on language, I have covered this topic in detail. Then themes and motives, recurring ideas. Lastly, the importance of research and literary criticisms. Doing all the things I have told you creates a whole web. Analyzing literature is like stepping into this web and finding out that each position you are in leads to another door, and it is a whole intricate maze. Although it may seem that getting into a maze is quite frightening, if you get into that maze, you are a very lucky person, as you can then write through different perspectives. You can show different aspects and dimensions of the story, and the examiner or your teacher or whoever is reading your literary comments can say, wow, this person knows their stuff. Just a quick side note, I'll be uploading literary analysis for different poems and a couple of texts perhaps, so you might want to check those out. Please subscribe and you'll then know about them as soon as I post. Goodbye.